It was thought that new technology was only for the young. And because it started off pretty much that way, you know, people who were younger typically had an easier time in adjusting. And in fact, many of them were born into a world of computers. You know, the youngsters, I mean, the real youngsters of today, the pre-teens and the early teens and so forth, they've never known a world without computers and without iPods and so forth. But what has happened is that it's spread through all the generations. I use the expression 8 to 80. It's gone through all the age groups, and the reason is that technology and the devices and the software have become easier to use, and also the fear of using them, which kept some of the older people away, has disappeared because their younger children and their grandchildren, sometimes their great-grandchildren, have shown them how to use these things, and they've discovered, wow, this is not only easy, but it's fun, and it expands my world beyond my, you know, little apartment in which I live, and it enables me to communicate with all my friends, and not just communicate, but participate, to discuss things, to play games, to play online games, and so forth, and to share what is known as my tacit knowledge. Now, people who are in knowledge management will know what tacit knowledge is. So tacit knowledge is what you carry in your head and what is in your room, at home or at work, and on your PC and in your smartphone and so on. The things that are close to you and contained in you are the tacit knowledge. Intuition is often referred to as one expression of tacit knowledge, because when you say, I've got a gut feeling that this is going to be the way things will work and so forth, or this is going to happen, or I like that person and I don't like this person. Why does one have that intuition? It's because of the accumulated knowledge and your genetic makeup. So it's your tacit makeup, your tacit knowledge. And Michael Polanyi was a proponent of this, and this goes back, you know, over 40 years. Michael Polanyi was a scientist and a philosopher, and he came out with the expression, we know more than we can tell. And I would say a slightly more modern version that appeals to me is we know more than we know how to tell. But it can be, this tacit knowledge can be teased out of us by a discussion such as the one we're having, and much more so now by technology, which enables this ubiquitous participation. So the more people talk, the more people communicate using different media, video media, as well as the normal typewritten media, as well as the voice media and so forth. The more one participates, the more one communicates with friends, the more one can access the tacit knowledge that is contained in everyone's heads. And this is another illustration of what I mentioned earlier, that one really needs to revisit so-called older concepts, because in the new era in which we're living, we can now develop those concepts and use them to much greater advantage. See, at the time that Polanyi was talking about tacit knowledge, that was the time of books and newspapers and TV. It wasn't the time of the internet. So revisiting those concepts can really result in new powerful applications and the creation of new businesses, especially in the media. Well, I'm a great believer in multiple stimuli. You know, even in personal relationships, you know, it's multiple stimuli that attracts people. So, you know, maybe people are good looking, well, that's one aspect. Intelligent, that's another aspect. Well qualified, another aspect. able to talk about many different subjects and other aspects. Put them all together and you have multiple stimuli. And that is very attractive in human interrelationships. It's also attractive in media. Why should one be fixated on one particular medium of communication or of interaction? There's no good reason for that. The human mind and human nature is much more inquisitive than that. And so I see a role for newspapers, magazines, online newspapers, online magazines, all sorts of social networking activities, collaborative activities, and so forth. So I'm a strong believer in the fact that one should not look to certain older media disappearing, but more transforming or using modern technologies to extend themselves. And we do see this. You know, take the newspapers. They all have online presence now. They almost all have online updates of what appears in the normal morning newspapers. So one doesn't have to wait for the evening newspaper or the next day. Interestingly, that in magazines now, advertisements are beginning to be printed with a two-dimensional barcode printed on the advert. And if you have a smartphone, of course, almost all phones have cameras in them, but if you have a smartphone with a camera, you can download software from the internet free of charge, which enables you to take a picture of a barcode on an advert, and that automatically then, as soon as you take the picture, transfers you to the website of that particular advert. So, for example, if it's for a Versace fragrance, it will take you to the Versace website, and you can look at all the products there, and you can order them and pay for them online. And so paper becomes alive. So there are new ways of enhancing the effect of old media. So in summary, I would say I see media as being complementary and very exciting for people in the media today, because it's not a question of, well, I'm in newspapers or I'm in magazines. It's which medium should I use to convey my message and to get the participation of the person who I'm reaching out to.